Get all these rumors surrounding me every day. I just need some time to get away from all these rumors.
This week's Rumor Mill, 2 weeks ago, we reported on some of the judicial races taking shape in 2010. We reported that Judge Bennett is retiring, and so far only Tom Krug, Assistant State Attorney Tom Krug, has expressed an interest in that race. The county judge race is getting interesting. We know Assistant State Attorney Wendell Darville is going to run. We also know Tracy Lee is going to run, who's a local attorney. We have heard that at least two other people are going to run. We're trying to track down the names. We've heard that there's at least two other attorneys, and we're working on it. Now, we also found out that Judge James Parker, who's currently in Arcadia right now, is also retiring in 2010. There are at least two people lining up to run for his seat. Manatee County Attorney Peter Lombardo is most certainly going to get in that race, and it looks like Arcadia DeSoto County Judge Don Hall is going to run. If those two run against each other, that's going to be a great matchup of two outstanding candidates, two great guys, and it'll be really interesting. What we're hearing, though, is that Parker may step down before the end of his term and try to get his friend Don Hall appointed by the governor so that he can run as an incumbent. Some advantages to that, but also there are definitely some disadvantages to that, but we'll see. Finally, in the Rumor Mill segment, it's been widely reported that Nora Patterson, County Commissioner, and Joe Barbetta were both going to finish out their terms and be done, and were not going to run for re-election. We were pretty sure of that in the case of Nora Patterson. Didn't really believe it in the case of Joe Barbetta because he's only a one-term county commissioner, and we felt like he was going to at least want to do one more term. But what we're hearing from everyone around them is they are definitely out. That's it for the Rumor Mill. And now more with Pat Neal. Pat, what I want to talk about is the housing crisis, which is the biggest kind of problem that we've had around here in the last 2-3 years that's been killing the local economy. How did we get into the mess that we're in?
Ron, I got to say that from a perspective of a home builder, we had the best years in history, 2003, 4, 5, and part of 6. In some ways, it's justice in our economic system that we should take a breather. I don't think anyone thought the breather would be this deep. Maybe I could say there were three causes. First, of course, home ownership in America went from 64% to 68% during that period. There were some people who bought homes because of credit and underwriting standards that just weren't appropriate. People had no doc or low doc loans, didn't necessarily have to have a job that supported the income, had negative amortization, and so some homes at the low end were sold to people who really have been renters traditionally and caused the creation of homes that we didn't need and they couldn't afford. Second, more in my part of the industry, people from up north seemed to acquire this irrational exuberance that prices would always go up. So we sold some homes to speculators, which will have to be brought through the system. I don't mind saying all we're now doing is experiencing the overhang of that. We've had a supply-demand imbalance that's about over. The third point is that because of the credit standards and perhaps the overreaction to the bond markets in New York, we're going to have a recession for a while, and it'll take a while for us to climb out of the national circumstances in order to start balancing or putting in the equilibrium the house supply and demand. By the spring of 2010, I think we'll be on our way up. I think we've had a boom and bust world in Florida, and we'll have another one.
I've heard the saying a lot with recessions and stuff that the first in is the first out. I've heard that, and this area seemed to be one of the first to experience tough times. Do you think we're going to be the first area to come out of it?
Ron, our housing, our new home sales centers peaked in July 2005, so we've been in it 3.5 years.
Right.
I think we'll be coming out quicker than the national economy.
What do you think the role of federal regulation is in the housing industry? What role should the federal government play?
Of course, my business is mostly regulated by local government and local land use. What the federal government does is regulate Fannie, Freddie, and housing standards and secondary market loans. Their regulation of recent has been the opposite of what it was 2003 to 2008, which is to tighten credit and underwriting standards. At our community, Forest Creek, we had 79 sales this year, of which only 56 qualified for mortgages. Ron, I think that was the right thing. I think it's right that we have tighter underwriting standards. But for a while, that will depress the housing industry until we get righted and get to equilibrium again.
Seems like the same thing is happening in the car industry too,
sure.
where we talk to a lot of owners of car dealerships, and they tell us that there's a lot of people that on the lot want to buy cars, but they can't get credit.
I think this is a story of credit in every commodity worldwide. We're going to have new standards. They're going to be tougher, but this is an old movie. This is the 5th time I've seen this movie. We have boom and bust, and of course during the booms, credit standards go down, and then during the bust, credit standards are improved. It's just the way it has been, at least as long as I've been in the housing economy.
Is there anything that the local builders are doing, like such as yourself and some of the others, to try to fix the problem?
Sure. Well, I think we're doing everything. I don't mind saying my average home price in 2005 was $525,000. My average sale so far in the year 2008 is about $286,000. I'll open new homes on the Braden River in Manatee in February, and we're going to price them at $112,000 to $119,000 if we can get some relief on impact fees, which are about 20% of the cost of our housing. We could open new homes for less than $100,000 for the first time since Peridia in 1989. Now, that isn't exactly the same home I sold for $525,000 3 years ago. It's smaller. Our smallest home will be 947 square feet. It's more square and more efficiently built. It has a flat plate. It doesn't have all the roofs moving up, in and out, up and down. And of course, I've gotten huge production economies from my trades. I work with about 400 trade partners, have worked with some more than 40 years. So it's a different house, but our economic world says we're going to build a home that people will buy. I think I can offer the homes at River Sound from the teens, with the 100 and teens, or less than $100,000 if we can get some deferment of impact fees.
One of the things that you hear about, especially here in Sarasota County, is the lack of affordable housing. And I know that that's an area that you've delved into. Well, what do you think about that issue?
Well, as I said, I've built homes for $18,900, and I don't think I'm an old guy. I think I'm a young guy. We sold a lot of homes in the 70s from the 20s. Prices have gone up because of inflation, the cost of land, regulation, new standards, hurricane standards, energy standards, and the fact that the houses probably are better homes than we built in the 60s and 70s. So now we'll have a period where the economy will provide more affordable housing, and people, if the mortgage rates are 4.5% as predicted by the Fed, and I can sell a home for $115,000, people will have a payment of less than $600. That itself will be affordable housing. That'll be the time for people to get in on the economy while the getting's good, without any kind of governmental involvement or subsidy.
All right, we'll come back with our last segment with Neal on the local economy.